There you go. Would you please stand with me for the invocation and pledge of allegiance? Councilman Rogers, please.
I thought we were all going to get exercises, but I'm glad not. All right, let us pray. Our God, our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day, for all the blessings that you have given to each of us here. We pray tonight that you'll be with us as we go about the business of the city and as we continue to work on the budget for our next fiscal year. We continue to pray for those serving the armed forces abroad, serving in harm's way. Be with them, guard them, protect them. These things we pray in Christ's name, and amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call to order the special council session for February the 7th, 2019. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll, that all members of council are present. Mr. Leach is joining us by Skype. He's not able to attend this evening. Jim, are you able to hear us?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We can hear you. All right. The minutes from the special council meeting held on January the 30th, 2019 have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. The report of the treasurer will be given at the next council meeting, and so we'll move right into our agenda this evening. We have no unfinished business this evening, but I wanted to share a story with you all that I think you'll appreciate. This past week, I had an opportunity to go to the legislature in Charleston for 3 days, and I heard a story about Tom Azinger that I thought was just terrific. Tom Azinger made the statement that Frank Dean was 90 years old and that he's only 83, and he wanted you to know he's part of the youth movement. I thought that was great. First item on our agenda this evening is a bid approval for the tree and beautification. Amy Roberts, please.
That's good.
The bids for the spring planting were opened on February the 1st with one bidder, Scott's Landscaping, in the price of $20,879. $879. It is upon recommendation of the Budget and Finance Committee that the bid be approved at $20,879 for Scott's Landscaping.
And they were the only bidder?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We have a bid approval for spring planting and maintenance of the various areas of the city. The only bid that was received was from Scott's Landscaping for $20,879. I'll entertain a motion for approval of this bid.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Scott's Landscaping. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Amy, I don't have my budget stuff from last year in front of me, but is that up from last year as far as the
I believe it's up about $1,000.
No, actually, it was up about $3,000.
$3,000.
That's the first time it's been raised, or we've been up.
There's no reason. It's the same work. It's just the cost.
I know there's been some additions. There's been some additions over the course of the time period. We've added some different areas of the city into the bid. We got one bidder, so.
If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the question then. All those in favor of the bid from Scott's Landscaping for $20,879, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Leach.
Oh, Mr. Leach, I'm sorry. Jim.
Well, they can see me raise my hand. Aye.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Jim. We'll do it by voice from here on out. I apologize. Thank you, Russ. Wow. The next item on our agenda this evening is a general fund budget revision number 5.
General fund budget revision number 5 is appropriating money to the Parks Department for temporary workers for the remainder of the year, $21,393. I believe Mr. Black has a couple of employees that have been out on injury and illness, and this will take those employees and enable him to stay at full staff.
Mr. Black is working off a budget that was prepared by Norm Harris last year. And so this is one of those things where we're kind of have to pick up the slack. And with the 2 workers that are off, we've had a need for extra temporary help. So it's not Steve's fault. It's just something he inherited. So, okay. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of general fund budget revision number 5.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the general fund budget revision number 5. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Steve, how many employees are you needing to add for this time frame? I mean, how long? And it will be the same thing for next year, or is it just because we have some people off injured, or?
I've included it in the budget. There was a major shortfall when the budget was done last year. Normally, we try to keep 2 temp employees, primarily weed eating, helping with the grass cutting for 8 months. So this, as the mayor alluded, I've had an employee that had a surgery, he's been out a month. I have another one that was hurt on the job. He just came back light duty, but everything is sedentary. So what this will do will cover us till these guys are full strength. And then come April, I'll have 2 temps like we should through the rest of the fiscal year. The next budget shows that.
So you'll keep these guys you're hiring on are going to be on next year also as well? Is that what you're saying?
Through probably October, November at the latest.
And that's total, how many more employees? 2?
I have 7 full-time workers, so it would be 2 temp employees.
2 temps.
In the past, they had anywhere from 10 to 12. We're also doing a lot of repair and maintenance things during the winter. The picnic tables and the shelters are in deplorable condition. So we tried to refinish them. It's not working. They're in such bad shape, we're rebuilding them. And that's one of our big projects this winter.
And I do commend you. I've done this before with you because I'm on the Parks and Rec, and nothing against a former person, but you've really identified some issues we need to fix and have been need to fix for a while. So I commend you on that because I see firsthand what you're doing. So I commend you on that part.
Any further discussion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor of general fund budget revision number 5, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
There we go. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Amy, thank you. The next item on our agenda this evening is the budget presentations. The first 2 are mine. For my budget for this year, you'll see a $1,000 decrease. I no longer have a vehicle, so we've removed the auto supplies out of that line item. Everything else stays the same, so there is a $1,000 decrease in that budget for next year. Okay? Presenting City Council. As you look down through that budget, you will see that there was a reduction in advertising and legal publications from $1,000 down to $500. There was an increase in insurance and bonds, which is something that's determined by Amy. That is just something that we pay. You'll notice that down under line item 58, the capital outlay, it went down from $75,000 to $25,000. Those are the expenses for the Manville project. So that line item has decreased considerably as we went down. The $25,000 that is in there is for any of the remaining remediation and testing that has to be done to get our certificate of completion from the Department of Environmental Protection. So that's where you see that. So there's a significant drop in the city council budget for this next year. Questions?
Mayor, could you get that other TV on so we can see it? Thank you.
Do we have a pretty good feeling, Mayor, that the $25,000 will cover the remaining remediation that we need to do at the Manville facility?
Yes, Roger. I consulted with Mr. Leach, who's been in contact with Mr. Rebar, and we feel that that will cover it all.
And that's just the lower portion, correct? Nothing to do with the upper portion?
No, that's all of it.
That's lower and upper?
Yes, sir.
So another $25,000, we should be done with the Manville?
We certainly hope so.
Okay. And it's my understanding that we have all the proper approvals to proceed with that. Is that correct?
They have accepted our remediation plan. Yes, sir. We're waiting on the weather to get a little better before we actually do the excavating.
Okay. Have we physically got a copy of that remediation plan? The reason I'm asking,
sure.
I'd like to see a copy of it.
Mr. Rebar, I'm sure has it, but I received the confirmation from Derek Hancock that it was accepted.
Okay, but we just don't have a copy of what we need to do now, or copy.
Jim, do you have a copy of it?
I'm having a little trouble hearing Roger.
Jim, I was asking if we actually have a copy of the approved remediation plan from Derek Hancock.
Are you talking about the Riverside?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's been approved, and they did some, as I told you last time, they did some additional testing down by where that well is. So, but yes, he's approved the remediation plan. Now they're finalizing the work plan. And then on the production side, the site characterization report has been submitted to Derek for approval, and that contains all the testing results that we've done. And the next thing that'll happen is, as soon as Derek approves that, then the production side will go to the risk assessment stage with the food group. And so that's where we are on both sides.
Okay, so right now we don't actually have hard copies of what that plan is what I was just getting at.
Yeah, everything, I mean.
Well, can council get a copy of the plan?
Number one, everything should be at the repository at the library.
Okay.
So it should be current. And then as far as the work plan, yeah, and I can probably put the last thing that I have from Tom on the Dropbox for you as well.
That would be great. I would appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, Jim, thank you. Anything else? All right, the next one will be the city recorder, Recorder Smith.
Okay, actually there are no changes in the budget for the city recorder this year. It remains the same as it was last year. There are no increases in any line item.
I was noticing here, Recorder Smith, if you look at last year's budget, and I appreciate the fact that there's no increase in this budget, but if you go back to the previous year and you look at the actual numbers used, some of those numbers are substantially less than what the budgeted number was, but yet we're at the same number this year. For example, professional services, we was at $8,000 last year, again that way this year, but the actual spent in the previous budgeted year, 2017 and 18, was $2,600. And there's another area where materials and supplies has stayed the same at 45, but the actual budget was 16. So I guess I'm questioning the areas, and even though I appreciate the fact that numbers have stayed the same, is there areas that those numbers could have been lowered based on previous history?
Well, actually, we had to increase it there, when it was increased, because we are now scanning our minute books, and we are going clear back to the beginning where the minute books were initiated and on file. We have kept them locked up in the safe and decided that there was that we needed a backup plan in the event of an emergency, a fire, or some kind of damages, that we would have access to those minutes. So we are paying to have those things scanned on a regular basis. They have gone clear back. Also included, and that's the fee for that. We also have our website where the ordinances are listed with the drain, Walter H. Drain Company. And so a lot of those costs are included in that as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Recorder? All right, we'll move on to the City Attorney then.
Good evening. My name is Russ Coxstead. I'm the city attorney. My budget's pretty much the same now as it has been the last handful of years. The only increase that I've asked for, I think it was the previous year, was to add $15,000 for litigation. We've done that. I was initially asked to come up with a ballpark figure because of a lawsuit that we're dealing with. And that lawsuit has put us at about $9,000. I initially estimated about $13,000 for that. I'm asking to keep the $15,000 we have in there until that's finished. I haven't had to have a budget of that amount in the time that I've been here. My salary remains the same, and that consists of the bulk of the budget. Some years the smaller numbers are taxed more than others, but that's it. Do you have any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Mathers.
Good evening. Department 579, beautification.
Jack, do you not have a copy with you?
Yeah, I've got my copy with me, with my notes on it. You want me to put it like that?
I can give you mine if you want your notes.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'll skip it.
Hold on a minute, Jack. Adam, where are you? Can you focus that up just a little better? Thank you.
Department 579, which is beautification, increased $3,000 up to $52,700 from $49,342 last year. I can go through real quickly and tell you the 52.7 what encompasses that. If you'd like me to.
Can you speak closer into the
Sure.
microphone?
It includes all the planners, the plantings that are done in the city of Vienna. One would be the gazebo, Hall's chocolate, flower bed, the median beds, which we have 17 of them. Senior Citizens Building, flower bed, 60th Street median planting, the city electronic sign at the entrance, the tennis courts, 3 designated beds there, 3 beds at Rosemar Road, Jackson Park entry bed, the city building, 29th Street, 17 flower boxes that we put out along Grand Central that we have businesses fighting over. We had one business take another business's flower box, and we were getting telephone calls because they were mad their box was going. So we've got 17 of those. We've got 52 hanging baskets and the 28th Street median planting that we do. Spencer Park gazebo beds. This includes all the plantings, the maintenance, the cleanup, all the work that's involved with them, and that's what that all includes. In addition to that, the rest of the budget, we also are doing cleanup at the Senior Citizens Center this year that wasn't included in that. We've got cleanup at Eagle Park. We've got planters at the Recreation Building in Jackson Park, and we've also recently took out all the Norway spruce trees and a planter in the gazebo down by Neal School to clean that area up a little bit, but that's also a Blue Star Memorial that's a designation through the Women's Clubs of West Virginia. So we will be putting an additional planter back in there to go ahead and honor that as it should be. So are there any questions on that part of my presentation for beautification? Okay, next item, 600 is the Tree Commission. Can I have another sheet for the Tree Commission? Russ, you got yours?
Yes. You're good on the health department though, right? Yeah. Thanks.
So under the Tree Commission, Department 600, if you look down, basically it stayed the same as last year. Moved some numbers around. The contract service, $34,400, 14.4 is the forester, 12.5 is figured for tree plantings this year, and 7,500 for tree removals. We're trying to do some more tree plantings. If you remember last year when we did the study from West Virginia University, they showed that the city of Vienna needed to have some additional trees planted to get up to what was considered a desired canopy for the city of our size. The other reason that we're going to be doing some more tree plantings, I applied for grants. Last year we got a $5,000 grant and a $10,000 grant, and they told me in the grant process that, you know, we are a tree city, and I've been using a lot of my grants for tree removals. So they were like, Jack, it'd be nice if you planted some trees back. So we're starting to look a little bit more about getting into that. And I think we have done a lot of removals, but they've been necessary, you know, looking at protection, really safety issues. So $2,000 down there that you see, that's for mulch for the trees on Grand Central Avenue. Where I moved the money out of what was up under contract services last year, and I moved 5 down, as you will see, into the area down below for the transfer of funds, and you see it's increased from 15 up to 20. The reason is I'm going to be applying for a grant, and I've already talked with the chief of the Division of Forestry about a grant for a project that we're looking about doing here in the city of Vienna. And Amy and I have discussed it in the past, and it's just a lot easier to chart our grants and to chart everything through one line item when we're tracking it back through. So basically my budget's staying the same in that area. So are there any questions?
Jack, the funds for the tree removal.
Right.
When it comes time to do one of those, is that, and you're removing one on private property, how are those funds used? Is it matched? How is it decided on who all's going to pay for the removal in total?
It depends on the tree when we look at it. If the tree is a public safety hazard and on the city right of way, we've tried to remove them ourselves. We have done some in the past that have the main stem of the tree hasn't been on public property, but the crown of the tree has affected public property. So we've gone into those and we've done arrangements where we've done them 50-50. I've had some homeowners that I have in the past had them remove a tree. And 41st Street, for example, one of the trees you pointed out that you noticed that maple tree was starting to die in the top. And that tree right there, in the past, I had them to remove a tree at their own expense. Came back into it this year and got into that tree, and it was a public safety hazard, and there were some issues. And I felt like we were balancing it out 50-50 like we had done with other people. So, you know, we try to do a balance. A place that I can't get into it is if I'm in on public if I'm on private property, and it's a private property issue, not where it's affecting, a public safety hazard, so.
Okay.
I think we've done a pretty good job, Roger, as a city. I'm pretty proud of the city and the work that you've all, and the support that you've all given into this project. I'm, pretty happy with it.
Okay, thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
The 20,000 is that matching funds for the grants that you're talking about?
True,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jack, I think your tree program has been extremely successful. We have not had power outages like we did in previous years. And when you look, the power lines are really pretty safe. And so I know from a convenience point, a lot of our residents have not been out of power. And so that program has worked very well. The other thing that I would like to compliment you on is the diligence that you put in to all of the trees and the plantings, and you take care of the trees in the median. That's one of the best compliments that we receive, is how good Vienna looks. People drive down Grand Central, those baskets are fantastic, the trees look terrific. It just puts a great face on the city because of all the efforts that you and your group do. And so thank you, because I know a lot of the time you volunteer your services, and we really appreciate you doing that.
Well, it's definitely, it's not me. You got Steve's guys that are out there, cutting the grass, and they do a wonderful job with that, people that we get to do the planting. So it's a community effort, and that's what the whole thing's about, is community. So.
Well, I know that you and I have had discussions recently about starting up another organization somewhere like the Vienna Women's Club was at one time, to do, volunteer work and maintain some of the flower beds and get more community involvement.
That's one of the things we're talking about, and you all may be interested, some of you. We're talking about trying to create a friends group here in the city of Vienna, a 501c3 that we can establish, because we talked about it at the tree meeting and tree commission on beautification the other night. Trying to get the public involved, get public support, and show community pride. And there's people out here that want to donate, that want to be part of a project, and it can be fun. And the benefits can be, we can use that then to go out and solicit funds that I can't do through the city. The other thing, if you establish a friends group that I think Linda is going to like, if we have a friends group and you establish it, you've got a workforce there of friends at Vienna, that if you have projects going on and events going on and you need a group to call on, you've got these people that want to be part of a friends group. So, it's great for that too. So that's something I'll probably get with Russ on it here in the near future, to see about getting the 501c3 established and get some interested people involved with it. So.
Yes, sir, Bruce.
I know right now that I can hear a great big hurrah, but two former council members, they're not here right now, but I know they wanted this beautification program for a long time, and that's Peggy Mace and Ruby Montgomery, and I know they're looking down and they're screaming and saying hurrah about this program.
You're very true. That's very true.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, Jack. Thank you.
And if anybody's interested in the friends group, just catch me.
Hello. In the quest to keep the overall budget low, I've not made any changes to my budget this year. Haven't added any increases nor decreases. I foresee no changes in fees or services in the future, but those things can change, but I think I have enough in there to cover anything that may come up. Any questions?
You are.
Really?
I know who you are.
I'm Stephanie Brockman, HR Director.
Thank you. All right.
I didn't
Any
hear
questions
everybody
for
else
Steph?
do that, did I? Did everybody else do that? Okay, well, I'm just not paying attention.
And you're looking at
You all know
account,
who I am now, correct? I'm Stephanie, hello.
and you're looking at account 422. Is that correct?
Personnel.
Yes.
Got it.
No questions?
On line item number 30, the contract services, Stephanie, last year's 47,000, this year's 47,000 as well. But as I look at the previous years, they were considerably lower than that. Now, if I look at the last actual year, which was 17-18 of dollars actually spent, it's about 12,000 less than requested. And that's my question, the
Well,
difference between the two.
The difference between the two is all the background checks that were done throughout the city. At one time, they were divided up between the parks and whatever other department, new hires or rec people were coming in as. I've taken responsibility for those. I've also added on the full police department for random drug screening. And then we had a small increase last year for the Swindleman Agency. So it's just those type of things. And everything used to be divided between all the different departments until HR came in. And as I continued to grow, we just kind of put them all in one pot so that HR had HR.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else?
Thank you. I guess I'm going to do the health department, the streets department, and street lights. On the health department part of this, you will notice that line item 14 and line item 21 have been increased $500 from 500 to 1,000 on each of them. That is the only increase in that. I do not have an explanation for that increase. Typically, our Public Works Director does this, but he is not able to be here tonight. And so, Amy, do you have an answer for why we've raised that?
I do not.
Okay, then I will get that answer for you, and I will present that at the next time. So I'll make a note to get you an explanation for that. The next item is the street light budget. It is exactly the same as it has been. We pay for the street lights that are on all of our streets. And so that's what those items are that are in that. The utilities is the biggest part of that. It's $107,000. The rest of it is maintenance items, if we have to do anything. And if you see down there under capital outlay, those are for the street lights, not the street lights, the traffic lights. They're called conflict monitors, and so we always buy spares of those each year so that if we have to replace those, that's what that's for. Any questions on the street lights? Okay. As we go down through this one, if you start out at the top, the first items 3 through 10 are all set by Amy Roberts, the finance director. And so we pick it up with the line 11. The telephone is the same. The utilities are the same. The travel is the same. Maintenance on the grounds is the same. The maintenance on the equipment has gone down. No, it's the same. The postage is the same. No, the maintenance on the autos and trucks is the same. There is no line item for postage. Rents, building and equipment has gone down to $65,200 from $117,000. Training and education is the same. Dues and subscription is the same. Professional services is the same. Insurance bonds is another one that Amy sets, and they've raised it by $900. And contract services is the same at $15,000. It shows a decrease from $222,000 down to $171,000, and that is based on rents, buildings, and equipment.
It's mainly their leases that have been paid off.
Yes, equipment leases, okay. Moving on, materials and supplies has been increased from $160,000 to $200,000. He's asking for an increase in the asphalt of $25,000. The joint sealant of $20,000 is the same. $60,000 for slag, stone, and aggregate for the maintenance of the alleys. Salt for winter maintenance is $75,000. And sign materials, we make the street signs. That would be sheeting, the blanks, and the post in the amount of $20,000. So those items right there total up to the $200,000. Auto supply stays the same at $40,000. Uniforms is $5,000 for that total in that line. Grand total is $245,000. Moving on down, line item 58 is for the paving of streets. He's asked for an increase from $500,000, which we typically spend, to $850,000. And there is a request in for a capital outlay for new equipment. There are 3 items in there. There are 4 items in there, excuse me. There is the replacement of Unit 17, one of our half-ton trucks, $40,000. We are in desperate need of a new street sweeper. I'm not positive on the age of the street sweeper, but I'm pretty sure it's 15 years. We have a vac truck. We have a pair of vac trucks, but one of our vac trucks, it is also in excess of 15 years old, and it needs some serious maintenance on it. The tower snapped off on it, and we've temporarily repaired it, but we're asking for the replacement of the vac truck. And that vac truck is $500,000. And then the last one is a replacement for Unit 13, which is a Ford Explorer. That would be the small SUV, and it is for $30,000. And that is where the $1,595,000 comes into with the new equipment and the outlay for the city streets. The flood control for the stormwater department, the request there is for $100,000. When you add all of those things together, it comes up to $2,111,300, and that is an increase of about $500,000. But when you look at the vac truck and the street sweeper, that is the bulk of that increase. If you have any questions on any of these items, other than the one on the health department, which I will get you an answer for, I will try to answer them now if you ask me. If not, I will get that answer for you and get it back to you. Okay?
Have we given any consideration to doing a reverberation, much like Chief did on the fire truck, when it comes to the sweeper and the vac truck?
Yes, and on the vac truck, on the street sweeper, because of the way that thing works, it's actually like driving around in a large sandblaster. When you pick up all of the dirt and materials off the road, it literally eats the inside of that thing up. And so in order to replace the box and all of that that's on it, with the years that's on that machine, it's actually on the road every day. So it is not feasible to repair that. As far as the vac truck goes, because of the damage that's done to it, the actual arm that comes off the top, which, has all the suction to it and all that rotating assembly broke. And so the actual drum that's on that needs major repair. And I say the age on these things is extensive. We've gotten our money's worth out of both of these items. And occasionally you're going to have to spend, like a fire truck, you're going to have to spend those monies to replace those two items because the vac truck is used every day, as is the street sweeper. So,
Have they ever been rebuilt?
no.
I only ask that because I have dealers and distributors that are also street sweeper dealers and vac pump dealers.
Yes.
They take trades in every day, and they always do at least one total rehab on all of the units.
Yes.
And saves about 50% the cost of a new one, typically gets the same lifetime out of them. So, I guess my question was, if they can do it, why couldn't we find someone to do the same thing?
We can definitely look into that, but I know that I've been to Charleston to the distributor for the street sweeper in the past. It's just not a feasible number. Obviously you have better connections than I do because of the business you're in, but the vac truck, both of these are very high usage items, and because the vac truck's sucking sewage out every day, or those kind of items there, it's really hard on the equipment. And as I say, the street sweeper, it's just like a sandblaster. Every time you pull materials up off the street, it's just taking some of the thickness away on the inside. We repair them all the time. They both have wheels on the bottom. They do the curbs and everything, so we replace the brushes frequently. But the actual dump drum that's in the back, that's the problem. Okay, so, and if you have any other questions, please let me know, and I will give you whatever answers you would like. All right. Okay, economic development, Mr. Thornton.
Good evening. For those of you that may not know me, my name is Paul Thornton, and I'm the Community Development Director. Linda Kearns and I are the two employees in that. We've prepared our budget. And line item 1 through 10 is wages and benefits. And I have included a $3,500 pay raise for Linda Kern in addition to any other raises that may be approved by council. Justification: this equates to $1.69 per hour for increased responsibilities, including acting senior center director and weekend and evening classes. Currently has numerous certifications required to offer these classes. Linda is a main driver for the senior center. And it's an organization that is growing, it is getting better, and it's becoming more demanding with staffing up there. And she spends a tremendous amount of time there and what other things that she does. In line item 11, I'm asking, it was budgeted for $1,000, an increase of $500 based on the current cost of Linda's phone. We've had to change telephones around, so it's going to be a little bit higher. Line item 12, printing, budgeted at $1,000. It's a decrease of $1,000 based on current cost. Let's see. Advertising, we have $300 in there. We decreased that by $2,000. Training and education was $1,500. We decreased it. It was decreased by $1,800 to be used for training and seminars. Number 22, dues and subscriptions. Subscriptions have been decreased. We're asking for $2,500 this year. Professional services, design costs to market properties for sale if we should have any. That's money that we can get some professional help if we need to be. The insurance and bonds will be furnished by the finance director. Contract services is $1,000, and that's no change from last year. Material and supplies, $4,500. That's a $1,350 increase. Auto supplies, $2,500. That's no change. Uniforms, $350, and that is no change on current cost. Contributions, which goes to the area roundtable and the Chamber of Commerce, is $5,000 for the roundtable and $3,000 for the chamber. The budget that I presented to you today is actually about $8,500 less than what last year's budget does. Linda and I do try to watch the monies, we try to watch the funds, and we try to utilize and make the best use out of the city's funds. Does anybody have any questions?
All right. Thank you, Paul.
I thank you all. And I thank you for having a system like this right here that we have to where we can have the interaction.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're at a point here where I think we're going to stand up and take a break, stretch your legs. The next person to present is going to be Miss Kern, and I guarantee you we're going to be here for just a moment or two. So let's all take a break for about a minute or two and stand up. 7-minute stretch.
You'll go ready
Maybe he installed it. I don't know.
Great. Do I not have to do it for the senior center? Yeah, I do. Slight increase?
Good, how are you doing?
When we buy equipment, we finance for 3 years. At the end of the year, Ms. Kern, are you ready? Yes, sir. All right, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll gather your seats, we'll resume our
Testing.
meeting. HD Black. Oh, there's Mike. I was going to say, can you see if Mike's in the hallway? You must have been turned sideways. I didn't see.
Can you see me, Jim?
Linda, where'd we lose Bruce?
Wait. Maybe to the restroom?
I don't know. I didn't see him leave, so I don't know where he's at. Bruce, are you in here? Yeah. There you go. Thank you.
Okay, not a problem.
Are you going to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am. My name's Linda Kern. I am the event planner and the senior center director, proud of it, of the city of Vienna. I wanted you to know something before I begin. And no, I'm not going to be real long, but I have a lot of important things to say. You know, the things I'm about to talk about, the mayor always teases me. He calls it the fluff of this. But he knows that when community development is what Paul and I do, my end of it is providing things for